Dear students, great day. Let us start our session with Economics, Unit 5, Migration. In this session, we are going to learn about the extent of migration in India and Tamil Nadu, the factors underlying migration. Extent of migration in India and Tamil Nadu. In India, the census of 2011 enumerated a total population of 121 crores, of which 45 crore people were reported as migrants according to the definition of the place of last residence. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu, out of 7.2 crore people, 3.13 crore people were counted as migrants in 2011. That is, the percentage of migrants was 37% in the country, while it was at a much higher rate in Tamil Nadu at 43%. We find that in India as well as Tamil Nadu, the extent of migration is much higher in rural areas compared to urban areas. In 2011, 37% of the population are counted as migrants in rural areas, while the corresponding percentage in urban areas is 27%. In Tamil Nadu, migrants account for 41% in rural areas and 35% in urban areas in 2011. The mobility of population in rural areas is greater than that in urban areas. Further, one usually associates mobility with males rather than females. However, an examination of data clearly indicates that a larger proportion of females are reported to be migrants compared to males. In the country as a whole, 53% are female migrants while 23% are male migrants in 2011. In Tamil Nadu, the picture is very similar, with more than half the females, 52%, reporting their status as migrants by place of last residence and 35% are male migrants. 70% in India and 51% in Tamil Nadu report marriage as a reason for migration of females in 2011. That is, marriage and the movement associated with marriage appear to be a major factor responsible for women's mobility in India and Tamil Nadu. Movement related to work and employment appears to be the driving force for migration among men. Of all the male migrants in India, 28% report work as a major reason for their migration in 2011. The corresponding percentage in Tamil Nadu is 26%. People have moved from various reasons such as trade, business, employment, etc. to various countries. In the more recent period, workers from Tamil Nadu have been moving to countries in the Gulf, United States of America, and Australia. In 2015, an independent research such as conducted to understand the level, nature, and pattern of migration in Tamil Nadu. This study has made some interesting findings as discussed below. Of the total migrants in Tamil Nadu, 65% have migrated or moved abroad while 35% have moved within the country. Chennai district has recorded the maximum number of immigrants, followed by Coimbatore, Ramanathapuram and Tiruchirappalli districts. Kudalur, Karur, Thiruvannamalai, Vellore, Namakkal, Salem, Dindigul, Krishnagiri, Nilgiris and Dharmaburi districts record low number of immigrants. Of the total migrants who go to foreign countries, nearly 20% have chosen to go to Singapore, while 18% to the United Arab Emirates, 16% to Saudi Arabia, 13% to the United States of America, and Malaysia, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Australia and England are also referred as important destinations for migrants from Tamil Nadu in the year 2015. Of the international migrants, 15% are women, while 85% are men. On the question of educational qualification of migrants from Tamil Nadu, the study reveals that in 2015 about 7% were illiterates, 30% have completed class 10, 10% have completed class 12, 15% had undergone vocational training, 11% were graduates, 12% were professionally qualified, and 11% had postgraduate degrees. Occupations undertaken by the migrants: highly skilled professions on one hand and low skilled occupations on the other, along with a large number of semi skilled occupations. Factor underlying migration. The extent and nature of migration in any society is basically determined by the nature of the development process experienced by that society. That is, the type and scale of development achieved by the agricultural and industrial sectors in an economy would determine the migratory patterns. Reasons for migration in India are work or employment, business, education, marriage, moved after birth, moved with household, and others. The growth processes have also created spatial inequalities by leading to enclaves of growth. The migration patterns observed in a developing society such as ours correspond to these inequalities such as economic, social, spatial, etc., created by the development processes. Any migrant stream would consist of heterogeneous substreams. For example, if we consider the rural-urban migrant stream, it would comprise of rural rich and the rural poor, each with its own reasons and motivation for migration, the mode of migration, the outcome or consequence of migration, etc. Poorer sections of the population migrate as a survival strategy in response to distressing conditions in rural areas. Migrants from better off sections migrate to improve their living standards. The patterns of migration is very complex, comprising of a number of streams: rural to rural, rural to urban, urban to rural, urban to urban, short, medium, and long distance migration streams, long-term stable migration, and short-term circulatory type of movements. Each of these streams would consist of different types of migrants, that is, from different social classes, each with its own reason for migration. The extent and nature of these migrant streams would essentially depend on pressures and aspirations experienced by people at the origin of migration, constraints imposed on mobility at the origin of migration, opportunities at the destination, and availability of information regarding these opportunities and the cost of migration. In this session, we learnt about the extent of migration in India and Tamil Nadu and the factors underlying migration. Thank you.